The battlefield had long fallen silent, but the silence was never comforting. For Private Dmytro Kovalenko, the absence of gunfire only meant more time to listen to the whispers of death. The wind brushing over corpses, the distant buzz of drones, the soft crackling of burning wreckage, and, worst of all, the voices. Russian voices, they were close. Always too close. Dmytro had been alone for 31 days. The explosion had torn his unit apart like paper in a storm. They were holding a trench in a forested no-man's land between the Donbass front lines when artillery rained down like hellfire. He remembered the moment vividly, his squadmate Yuri laughing nervously, saying they'd all be home by summer, then the sky turning white and orange. When Dmytro woke up, his ears rang like church bells. Blood ran down his face. His uniform was scorched. Around him, silence. His comrades were gone. Some he found later, bodies frozen in grotesque positions, some buried in collapsed bunkers, some simply missing. For the first few days, Dmytro thought rescue would come. He stayed near the trench, eating ration crumbs and melting snow for water. But the days passed. No one came. The radio was dead. The forest, thick with burnt trees and blackened snow, offered no answers. On the fifth night, he saw them. Russian soldiers combing the area, weapons raised, searching. He buried himself under rubble and mud, breathing through a hole in the ground. From that moment, he became a ghost. He moved only at night, avoiding roads and smoke. He collected dry moss and bark to chew, boiled his bootlaces for nutrients, and learned to drink from puddles without gagging. Hunger became his only constant. His body weakened. His thoughts grew darker. He built a crude shelter under a broken tree, camouflaged with branches. It was damp and smelled of rot. But it hid him well. He could hear the enemy walking nearby, laughing, talking in Russian. Sometimes they spoke of hunting Ukrainsky krysy, Ukrainian rats. On the 28th day, his world narrowed to a pinpoint of suffering. He hadn't eaten in 3 days. His ribs stuck out. His teeth ached. When he tried to stand, his legs trembled and gave out. His throat was dry and his eyes stung from the cold. That night, he lay on the dirt floor of his hiding place and whispered, "I can't do this anymore." The idea of surrender began to feel like mercy. But fate had other plans. The next morning, just after dawn, he heard a sound, soft paws on frost. He thought it was a wolf at first. His heart jumped, but then he saw her. A dog. She was medium-sized, tan, dirty, with alert brown eyes and a frayed red ribbon tied around her neck. She approached cautiously, her head low, in her mouth, a rusted tin can. She dropped it beside him. At first, Dmytro stared, not understanding. Was this real? A hallucination? He reached out with trembling hands and picked up the can. The label was faded, but he recognized it. Tushonka, meat stew. He didn't even wait. He used a rock to smash the lid and devoured the contents with his fingers. It was cold, greasy, and glorious. The dog watched silently. He cried. She didn't leave. That night she curled up near the shelter, eyes half closed, always alert. The next morning she was gone. But she returned in the evening, another can. Where was she getting them? He didn't know. Maybe from abandoned camps, maybe from villages, maybe stolen from the Russians. He named her Tinia, shadow in Ukrainian. She moved like one, silent and fluid, never barking, never staying too long, but always returning. With her arrival, something shifted. His strength began to return. His spirit, though cracked, held together. He began planning again, sketching maps in the dirt, memorizing paths, noting patrol patterns. Tinia started leading him, gently, subtly. She'd walk ahead, pause, look back. If she sensed danger, she'd freeze or retreat. Once, she saved him from a minefield, barking sharply before he stepped on a pressure plate. Another time, she stopped him from crossing a snowy ridge just before a sniper round cracked the air. She was his guardian. One night, as they passed a burned-out village, they heard voices, Russian soldiers scavenging. Dmytro hid behind a fallen wall, holding his breath. Tinia disappeared. He feared the worst, that she was caught. But minutes later she returned, dragging a bag of supplies in her jaws. Inside, 2 cans of food, a scarf, and a half-empty water bottle. She had stolen from the enemy. Day 40 came. Dimitro had regained enough strength to walk a few kilometers per night. Guided by Tinia, he moved westward, deeper into the woods. Each night they stopped to rest, curled together for warmth. She was his only family now. On day 44, they encountered danger unlike before, a drone buzzing low. Dimitro and Tinia ran through the trees, the drone's eye blinking red above them. He tripped, fell into a ravine, rolled down and hit a tree hard. His leg throbbed, blood seeped from his arm. He was done. He lay there for hours. Tinia didn't leave. She licked his wounds, nuzzled him, whimpered. Then, for the first time, she ran off without him. He thought she was gone forever, but she returned 2 hours later, barking, frantically tugging at his sleeve. He didn't understand until he saw the flicker of firelight beyond the trees. Ukrainian troops. She had found them. With what little strength he had left, Dimitro dragged himself forward. A voice shouted. Lights flashed. Weapons were raised. Sti, kto ty? He raised his hands. Ja, свій, український солдат. Прошу. He collapsed. The next thing he remembered was waking up in a medical tent, warm, fed, bandaged. He asked for Tinia. No one had seen her. For days he watched the edge of the forest. Then, on a snowy morning, as he sipped broth outside, he heard a bark. She stood there, tail wagging, eyes calm. He limped to her, tears falling freely. Some believed she was just a clever stray. Others thought she'd been trained by locals. But Dimitro knew better. She had chosen him, stayed with him, saved him. In a war that had taken his friends, his body, and nearly his mind, she had given him back his soul.